What's up, Florida fans? We are here to preview the Grill in the Ville event going down in Gainesville on July 29th. We will be joined by Corey Bender from Gators Online to preview this cookout, let you know some of the names coming to town and some of the top guys to watch out for. And this episode is brought to you by birddogs.com. And Bird Dogs are stretchy khaki shorts designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and leg, giving you a truly sculpted look. Bird Dogs do the exact same thing as Lululemon, but fit way better than regular shorts that are made of stiff, restricting cotton. Bird Dogs fix this issue by inventing cloud knit fabric that looks just like khaki, but stretches to get you a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice movement. Bird Dogs uses anti-Swick fabric that keeps you cool and dry all day long. I had the opportunity to go to the beach this past week, get a little PTO in, and I was walking around all week long with these bad boys and some of them that they sent me. So I definitely encourage Florida fans to go to birddogs.com/Gators, take advantage of our promo code, and check out some of these great options that they have to offer. We're going to be joined now by Corey Bender from Gators Online to preview the Grill in the Ville going down this weekend. Corey, appreciate you joining us. How's it going?
Good, Zach. Thanks for having me on, man. How's everything going with you?
It's going good, man. Obviously, we got fall camp starting. It's exciting time in Gainesville, but it's also exciting because of this cookout going down. This is an event that I think Florida recruiting fans and Florida staff members look forward to every year. It's become one of the staples in terms of events that they throw in Gainesville, and there is no shortage of big-time prospects coming to Gainesville. You can head over to Gators Online to read Corey's story, which is Florida Gators gearing up to host dozens of visitors ahead of the dead period. Corey, let us know about this Grill in the Ville event taking place on Saturday and some of the top prospects coming to town.
Yeah, it's really the last event before the season starts. We're about to hit a dead period starting on Tuesday. So this is it used to be Friday Night Lights until they bumped that back to June. So now everything's kind of based on this Grill in the Ville cookout. So right now, the majority of the commitment class is going to be there. I think as for right now, 19 of 21 commits will be there. So that'll be a good opportunity for them to kind of grow closer together, kind of build a relationship and kind of get comfortable with each other ahead of enrolling. A lot of those kids are going to be enrolling mid-year. So it's a good opportunity to kind of get familiar with each other ahead of that. But I think right now, most of the attention for uncommitted kids is on the 2025 class. 2024, like we said before, 21 commits already. We have one dent that kind of happened to the visitors list today with Jamari Howard. He's one of the top DBs on the board, one of Corey Raymond's top targets. He's going to Florida State today. That was always going to be the plan. That kind of got scheduled early in the week, and then the plan was to go to Florida after that on Saturday. He told me that a few weeks ago. He was confirmed to go, and I gave him a call this morning. He says he's no longer heading to Gainesville. So that's definitely one of the more unfortunate developments if you're a Florida fan. You know, Michigan State, Florida State, and Florida, those have been the schools mentioned the most for him. I think with today's development, I would probably give the edge to FSU, especially if he stays all weekend. That is possible. MSU, obviously, you can't rule them out as well. I know he has a great relationship with Mel Tucker's staff. But I think with today, I think Florida, you have to kind of bump them behind those two schools right now. Last time he visited was in March. So I think that's the biggest thing, getting him back on campus. You know, DJ Pickett, he is one of the guys that will be there this weekend. 5-star prospect, #1 safety in the 2015 class. It'll be interesting, too. He's another one. I spoke with his mom, and she's going to be there at the visit, too. And she said she's read all these stories all week about how her son's supposed to be at all these different events from Georgia to Michigan. And she even said, like, I don't know how we're going to do this. People think we're going to go to 2 different schools in one weekend. So he's kind of a wait and see. They're still scheduled to go, and he's a big-time prospect for next year's cycle. But he's kind of a wait and see right now, depending. His mom graduated from Michigan. So that's one thing. They could go back up there. They have family up there, and Georgia's trying to get him on campus too. But, you look at this list, it's a lot of 2025 kids. Some other guys I'll touch on real quick is, Waltez Clark. That's a running back on his Tampa plant, one of their top running back targets for next cycle. Kobe Howard out of Pensacola. That's a big-time receiver. And then a few other guys is like Hilton Stubbs and Jalen Wiggins, 2 top defensive guys in the class that are both in-state. So Florida will have a lot of opportunities this weekend, really kind of work with those younger guys. But we'll see if there's any surprises to the list, because you never know. A big-time 2024 prospect could come to campus. You never know.
And Corey, you mentioned the amount of 25 kids that are going to be at this cookout, along with a host of guys committed in the 2024 class, specifically guys like DJ Lagway and some of the other headliners. What type of advantage do you think that could potentially give Florida to have guys from the 2025 class spending a lot of quality time around guys that are committed for 24 and maybe hoping that kind of rubs off on them in their recruitment?
No, exactly. I think you said it perfectly. Have it just rub off on them. Kind of seeing that camaraderie, kind of seeing what a recruiting class is supposed to be, because regardless of what school you visit right now, if you're a 2025 prospect, the most kids you'll see in the class maybe right now is like 5. I mean, probably 5 or 6. They're not huge classes this early on. So you go to Florida this weekend where almost 24 kids are there. It kind of shows you what can be built and what the possibilities are for that prospect, a year from now, where maybe a kid comes this week and says, hey, I want to start this now. I want to be the first guy in the class, and let's build something special. I know once DJ Lagway jumped on board, he kind of took over as far as the leader of that class and kind of being the one that's, the face of that class. So it'll be interesting. I know, Chris McCorkle, he's a DB out of Sarasota Cardinal Mooney. He's one kid we're looking at right now. Obviously, he's Teddy Foster, his teammate at the high school level. And, as we reported first, a few weeks ago, Florida's his leader. So you never know. And Florida's definitely his biggest offer, too. So you go up to Gainesville this weekend, it's in-state SEC ball, familiarity with the teammate committed. That's a guy you never know could actually probably, maybe commit. But we'll see. A lot of these kids are top, high-level kids. And like you see in the 2024 cycle, a lot of these kids aren't in a rush, and they want to at least take those 2 to 4 OVs in June going into the senior year before making a decision. You still have a chance. Some of them might decide early, but I think right now it's just about building those relationships. Maybe Florida can come out as the leader for some of those kids as well.
Absolutely. And then final thing on the Grill in the Ville, Corey, before we get to our last item. What are your thoughts just about this event overall and how this has kind of been added to the list of, recruiting events that Florida throws, how effective you feel like it's been, and also being able to kind of have this as kind of your end of summer wrap up. You get all the commits that you've landed over the last few months all together in one place. And like we said, to maybe potentially affect the next year's class.
Yeah, I think with Friday Night Lights, that, like we said before, that was the event in the summer that was always towards the end. I think with now in recruiting, you just don't want to see a lot of kids compete that close to the season. So when you have Friday Night Lights, you have a lot of underclassmen trying to get the big Florida offer, and they're camping. But I think as time has went on, even with Dan Mullen's staff, I think it kind of got watered down a little bit as years went on. And why not, if a lot of these kids aren't going to camp, why not just scratch that? Why not just have like a cookout, something different that's really going to kind of just let kids relax, put the sandals on. Just, kids are gearing up. They're doing workouts right now. I don't think a lot of people would even want to be doing camps. So I think with making this invite only, having a lot of the commits in attendance, I think it's, your perfect kind of model of what you kind of want to do at this time of year. I think most fans look right now and they're saying, hey, there's not a lot of uncommitted 2024 kids, but at the same time, I mean, you have 21 commitments. I think, what is a month and a half ago, we're like 11 or 12, 13 in that range. So you can't have it all. I mean, you're having a lot of these kids that are committed were some of your top targets too last month. So, you're still getting a few guys on campus, and a lot of these other kids you're just going to have to keep working on until the very end. And like a Jamari Howard, I'm not going to say it closes the door on Florida's chances of getting him, but they have to hopefully get him on campus for a home game early in the year. They're hopefully get an OV later in the fall as well. So I think overall, though, from what you're saying, I think it's the perfect kind of recipe of what you want to put together, heading into the season when kids are getting ready for the season.
Now, another name who is scheduled to visit Florida in the days after the Grill in the Ville event is 5-star wide receiver Jeremiah Smith, the nation's #1 ranked player at his position. He has already taken an official visit to Florida. He's been to Gainesville before, but this is another chance for the Gators to get him on campus, and potentially with DJ Lagway, who is expected to extend his trip so that he can hang out with Jeremiah. How huge is this development, Corey, for Florida to be able to get him on campus right before the end of the summer?
It's obviously huge. #1 player overall. I mean, it's massive, really, to say the least. But I think the biggest thing to take away from this is, he's going to FSU this weekend. And, Florida was a possibility when I talked to him a few weeks ago. Then it came out that he was going to FSU, and then just to have a kid go to FSU over you is a stinger alone, especially when it's an elite kid like that. But the fact that he's still going to squeeze Florida into his schedule, in addition to FSU, and Florida is the most recent visit before the dead period. So I think that shows that he does have, legit interest. I mean, you could easily just go to FSU and be like, hey, I had a long weekend. Maybe deep down you think you're in. I mean, a lot of these kids go to these visits and they probably know in the back of their mind, I really like this school, but I'm probably not going to end up there. Yeah. That could have been the case with Jeremiah Smith, where it's like, hey, FSU was a long weekend. Let me just, go home, get ready for the season coming up. But he's still staying up in this part of the state, going to go to a practice. And, DJ Lagway, like you know before, Zach, he's extending his visit, and he's going to be there on Monday as well. And that's very important. I mean, I think that's one of the primary reasons why Florida is still hanging around with him is, that potential partnership with a 5-star quarterback and the possibilities with him. So it's definitely big. I think flipping him is going to be difficult for any school. Georgia's Georgia, right? I mean, nothing would surprise me with that school. Miami's close to home, and then Florida and Florida State are the other two schools. So the in-state schools are all still hovering around, but when you kind of look at the big picture from a business standpoint, it's not, difficult to understand why he is solid with Ohio State. I mean, when you're, a generational talent like that, and you see the receivers are putting out Brian Hartline, it's just one of those things where it's, it's going to be difficult to flip him. So it's a wait and see. But right now, I think it's going to be still very difficult to change his mind.
Well, Florida will be doing everything that they can to try and do that on Monday. And I'm sure DJ will be working at it, Billy Gonzalez and Billy Napier and his entire staff. So, and not just working on Jeremiah, but all the guys coming in this weekend for the Grill and the Ville. So, Corey, we appreciate the time as you previewed this event. We're looking forward to seeing how this plays out over the coming days. The Gators stand right now with 21 commits in their 2024 class, ranked number 3 nationally in the On3 industry rankings, and expected to stick around there for the foreseeable future. So we will continue to cover all of the developments for this class. Corey Bender and Keith Niebuhr are going to stay on top of it. So make sure you guys follow their coverage. Corey, we appreciate the time as always. And for Corey Bender, I'm Zach Alberti. We'll see you guys next time.